This is Prayerline, your weekly inspiration to help you pray for student movements around the world.
Flying blind. Finlay's future was up in the air. The ground grew smaller as Finlay lifted the plane into the air. He watched the tiny cars pass each other across the New Zealand landscape, and like always, his mind drifted to existential thoughts. He had many questions about his life and future. As a final year flight student, there was so much uncertainty about what he would do next. But he had other questions too, like what was the point of life? Was God even real? He was tired of these questions. For years, he had bottled them up in his head, turning them over and over again with no answers. Now, with his graduation looming, he felt even more overwhelmed by the unknown. He found some solace in talking with a friend. Finlay noticed that she attended the TSCF group on campus and always spoke confidently about how her faith influenced her future. When she invited him to visit her church, Finlay agreed. Though he had occasionally attended church as a child, Finlay was drawn to the teachings of Jesus in a new way. During the pandemic, he moved back home to finish his coursework and eventually graduate. As he went about life in his hometown, the words of Scripture continued to echo in his mind. Soon, Finlay found himself back in church, where he began to faithfully walk with Jesus. He discovered that his faith in God helped him to deal with the uncertainties of life. As Finlay now weighs a decision between joining the Air Force or becoming a flight instructor, he is sure that God will continue to lead him. In his life after graduation, he is walking by faith, submitting his plans before God and trusting that He will guide his future. Finlay's story is one that is common among students and graduates, but it has been amplified this year with the upheaval from the pandemic. Students need to know that there is a God who cares for them and has a plan for their life. Campus groups like TSCF and graduate groups from Cross Current are pointing these students towards hope. Pray with us this week for the students around the world who need to hear that God is in control. Pray for students who are still dealing with disrupted studies due to the pandemic. Many students have had their academic plans delayed or cancelled. Others are frustrated daily by poor connectivity. Pray for graduates who are unsure of what their future holds. Pray that they would find Christian community as they transition into their next season of life. Pray for groups like TSCF to continue to reach and support students like Finlay who have big questions about life. This story was adapted from an interview piece from TSCF.
Thanks for listening to Prayerline. To have stories delivered fresh to your inbox each week, join our Prayerline mailing list by going to ifeesworld.org.